Hi, everybody. Let me say firstly how honored we are to be the sponsor of this Global Leadership Forum. This is an important event, and we're pleased too that you're part of it. And I want to send a special warm thank you to our Global Links scholars, Sharmista and Shradipta. Boy, you guys have made this thing as repeater stations happen, and we're really appreciative. Gender parity is something that's very, very important to Tupperware and to the world. It's actually part of our DNA, and we think it begins with education. When you have more education, you have more confidence. And when you have more confidence, wow, does that have an impact on the rest of life, on not only performance, on relationships, but also the influence that an individual can have elsewhere. Now, there's a collateral benefit to you being together this week, and that is the new contacts and relationships. And the more we can get more of us arm in arm for this great cause and really enhancing gender parity, the sooner we can make this happen. So I want to wish you the best of luck. And then really what I want to see you do is go back into your countries and make a difference with it. I'd be remiss in not saying good luck with today's pitch competition. Looking forward to the solutions that you come up with for so many of the world's problems.
Right, it's hard to follow those words of inspiration, but I will do my best. So, I'm Nancy Hopkins, Director of Programs for the Presidential Precinct, and we are delighted to be here at the culminating activity, the culminating exercise of our week-long Global Leadership Forum 2017. We've had 6 groups working so hard for the past 4 hours to develop an innovative solution to a specific challenge to gender equality in education in specific country contexts. And they've been using the design thinking methodology to work through these thorny problems and come up with their innovative, effective solutions. So we cannot wait to hear from you and to be inspired by your ideas and your dreams. Let me just briefly review the format. So we will go in order from group 1 to group 6. I think you all know your group number. And feel free when you get up to do self-introductions, at which point we'll start the timer. So we'll have 5 minutes of presentation, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A from the judges. And I'll introduce our judges in just a moment, but they'll be seated here at this table down in front. When your 5 minutes of presentation time is up, you will hear a gentle chime. And that gentle chime means that your 5 minutes are up. So please complete the sentence that you're on, and then turn to the judges for their questions. And I know our judges will be happy to prompt you on anything that they know you did not have time to say. And they will also give you some really good questions to enable you to flesh out your ideas. Please don't worry about getting chimed, because then you'll have more time to talk. So don't feel like your 5 minutes is it. You've actually got 10 minutes total, but let's limit our presentation to 5 minutes. Before I introduce our judges, I'd also just like to thank again our sponsors for this event. First and foremost, Tupperware Brands. Thank you so much. And also the generous support of the Jefferson Trust and Robert and Molly Hardy. Without you, this event would not be possible, and we would not have been able to come together this week and learn from each other and build our connections and be inspired by each other's work and ideas. So I would love to introduce our judges. We have Chick Thompson, who is a fellow. Chick is currently a fellow at UVA's Darden School of Business, and he also has adjunct appointments at such institutions as the Federal Executive Institute and the Brookings Institution. Chick has a long career in product development, marketing, and innovation with companies such as Walt Disney Corporation and Johnson & Johnson. And he's a popular lecturer on the topic of strategic curiosity, among other things. We also have with us Sharmista Banerjee. Sharmista comes to us from the University of Calcutta, India, where she is a professor of business at the business school, and she has particular interests in entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. She has been a Fulbright scholar who studied women's empowerment in South Korea and also in Kenya, and she's also a Tupperware Global Links Scholar alumna. where she participated in an academic residency and an externship, and then in a learn and return model went back to India, shared her knowledge with her students, and mobilized her students to serve in mentoring roles to women entrepreneurs in their community. And we also have with us today our third judge, Matthew Wheelock. Matthew is the... Applause first, thank you. Matthew is the founder and president of Live It, Learn It, which is a DC-based nonprofit that is supporting student achievement and self-efficacy by connecting learning with experiential trips and learning opportunities. So learning by doing. He's an associate professor and director of the Innovation and Education program at the University of Virginia's Curry School of Education. Thank you so much for being with us today. So with that, I think I will step down and turn the stage over to Group 1 for their presentation.
So we have time to present ourselves very briefly before the time starts, right? Hello everyone, I'm Abra from the Philippines, an Atlas Core Fellow based in Washington, D.C.
I'm Max Solis. I'm an Atlas Core Fellow from Jamaica, also based in Virginia.
I'm Caitlin Green. I go to UVA and study Youth and Social Nation and Elementary Education.
I'm Sylvie Tougma from Burkina Faso. I'm a 2014 Mandela Washington Fellow.
Hi, my name is Yassine. I am a Community Solution Fellow based in DC. What else?
We'd like to introduce you to Fatima. We met her at a small, poor rural village called Baharwa, located east of Cairo. According to her teacher, she was the smartest one in class. And then we got the chance to talk to Fatima and ask her what she wanted to do. She said she wanted to be a doctor. Unfortunately, she stopped going to school 2 weeks ago. And she thinks that even though she wanted to go back and finish her schooling, she wasn't going to be able to finish. And then we asked her why. We talked to her family, and then we were trying to understand why. Why can't you go back to school? And they said 3 things. 1, her school is located too far away from her village, and they are so poor. They couldn't afford the transportation fees and all the other fees associated with her enrollment, with her schooling. 2nd, she had to stay at work, she had to stay at home and help in the farm. And finally, between her and her brother, her family would prioritize sending her brother to school because women, or girls like her, well, their priority is to learn how to cook, learn how to wash, be good wives, be good daughters. Unfortunately, Fatima's case is not an isolated case. She is one of the 331,000 out-of-school children in Egypt because of poverty. And more alarmingly, poor rural women and girls, according to studies, have lesser opportunities when it comes to accessing education.
So this is where we come in. We are rural bridge builders. We are rural bridge builders, and we wanted to ask the question, how can we overcome these household economic barriers that limit girls' access to education, specifically in Egypt? So we identified 3 specific barriers. The first that are in these rural communities, the schools are simply too far away. These families can't afford the transportation costs alongside the normal school fees. So we wanted to flip the system and ask, how can we bring the schools to our communities? Second barrier that we identified was that in these farming villages, education is not seen as a priority, and they rely on child labor fairly heavily, and so these girls are asked to stay and work on their farms and miss good deal of school. So we want to ask, how can we create a school system that doesn't interfere with these economic activities? And finally, these communities simply no longer believe in the power of education to uplift and get them out of the situations that we're in. So how do we bring this passion for education back into our communities?
So, we thought, what about bringing school in wheels and bring these schools to Fatima in her community? So our approach or our solution will be mobile schools, and these mobile schools, to be implemented, we defined certain principles. We need to make sure it's we're achieving these principles, and we name it ABCD principles. We need to be adaptable and a scalable model. We need to be basic and simple with low cost and context specific, and even building on available resources and engage different stakeholders. This approach wasn't like new approach. We found when we searched about that, we found this already applied in 20 countries around the world for different purposes of education barriers. And this, even this approach, when we searched more, we found it's already applied in Egypt for other purposes like library on wheel or even Fab Lab on wheel. All of that is lessons learned. Lessons learned of different ways to build these schools. And engaging community is the main principle of us. So we build on trust, ownership, and make identifying baseline needs.
This is a model of what our school will look like. How will it work? This will include using one bus to travel to 2 neighboring villages on alternative days. We chose alternative days to ensure that economic activities can be carried out on the other days while they're not in school. We will utilize available physical spaces such as association grounds. Food and labor will be contributed by community members. We will collaborate with existing teacher training programs focused on alternative education and collaborate with local government, private sector, and foundations for financial and technical support.
So now we'll have 5 minutes of questions, up to 5 minutes from our judges.
Have you made any funding plans? Funding plans?
We do have a seed grant for this project that we are proposing, but at the same time, as we mentioned in the report, we are able to draw on local resources. For example, for the buses, that was the first question. A bus is not cheap. But as Yassin, because he's from Egypt, he told us that the government has a public library program. And these buses are not being used at the moment. So we could collaborate with the government to provide us these buses for free. At the same time, we are drawing on local resources. So this is a rural farming village. And to get the buy-in from the community, because this is very much important, in as much as we're trying to break this stereotype against girls, we need their ownership. So we want them to feel that they own the project. So what we plan to do, for example, when it comes to meals, providing nutritious meals, the community, we would talk to the community to contribute some of their produce, and at the same time volunteer some of their time for labor to help in the cooking and the cleaning. So
we've also identified a few corporate sponsors such as Coca-Cola, and through the Coca-Cola Foundation, their work is focused heavily on education globally, and they would be a good partner for this project.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean by alternate education? You mentioned in one of your slides, you will promote alternate education.
Okay. I think it was a slide about training teachers. So teachers who are not teaching in traditional classrooms, schools that are not being held, say from 7 to 2, but persons who are used to creative learning.
Flexible
right,
timing.
Flexible.
Okay. Good answers.
And we added one element related to livelihood. We need this education to be livelihood specific. So if it's going to rural areas, to meet the needs of these rural areas. Yeah.
Well, first, just wanted to congratulate you all for a very effective presentation. That was very nicely done. Like the way you drew in a lot of different ideas and also some, pointers and examples of where this is happening in other places. I wanted to circle back to, in the beginning, you mentioned that there are 3 specific challenges. And the first of those 3, I think that your concept directly, I can see how that you're bringing the school to the students. The other 2 that you mentioned in terms of, okay, how do we make this not compete with the economic activity on the farms? And then the second one about changing mindsets. I wonder if you could share a little bit more about your strategies for addressing those.
Right, so for the second pair with economics, that's why we have it on alternating days, so the students can attend school on one day and then still be able to work in the farms on the other day. And so we cycle through other 2 villages for that. With the community engagement, I think, like you were talking about with the food and with the livelihood studies, it's like we're tying it into what the communities are, like what they already have, what they're bringing. And so by making it more relatable to their lives, we're engaging with them at a level that I think was previously.
If I could add on to what you said, thank you so much, Fred. Mostly, my parents are both teachers, and I've seen this firsthand. And I grew up in a farming village also. So during harvest season and during the planting season, that's the time when most children are not able to go to school. So the way the schedule will be done would be in consultation with the community to adjust to their economic activities so that the schooling will not interfere with their economic activities. At the same time, in terms of breaking this stereotype and gender bias, which is a very, very hard and long process. So we don't have this illusion that after 1 semester, this is going to happen. But we hope that by coming up with local champions, because we think that this is an effective process of making the community understand and appreciate the value and the potential of girls to be more than what they're supposed to be, like as just mothers and just obedient daughters. We wanted to, in the long run, document, mentor successful local cases. And if they see their daughters, like, wow, my daughters could read, or wow, my daughter is moving on to secondary education, or now she's a teacher, we think this is a very good strategy.
Okay, just one quick question. Do you happen to have an idea of how many of these kids, students, adults would have smartphones?
If even they have a smartphone, they don't have affordability to cover internet bundle on their mobile. So sometimes they have only phones with camera. This is what we can count on.
Okay.
But we can't count on connectivity.
Okay. So do you think in the future that there can be some virtual aspect to the education?
We can add this element to our school bus if we can provide them with free access to internet, so they can learn that. And
so maybe the school bus could be the wire. I mean, could bring the wireless.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Thank you so much, Group 1, and I'd like to welcome Group 2 to the stage, please.
my name is Maria, and I would like to introduce our team, which consists from people from 4 continents: Africa, Europe, Asia, and South America. North America. And Caribbean.
Hello, my name is Annelise Bird. I'm from Haiti. I'm one of the CSP fellows this year.
Hello, my name is Aruna. I'm from Sierra Leone. I am 2015 Mandela Washington Fellow. I am currently based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hi, my name is Haley, and I'm a graduate student at the Curry School of Education.
Hello, I'm Anzor from Myanmar, a CSP fellow.
And I am Abela Batayonga from Tanzania. I'm a Yali Fellow 2014. Should we start? So, from Group 2, this is our statement. How can we increase the number of young women in Tanzania who can pursue career in STEM? That is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we went a little bit lower to actually have a specific problem. And this is what we actually identify as a problem. There's a lack of sufficient data in STEM now, because STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We picked technology, which is ICT. And so what we want to raise data so that we can inform, strategize, invest, scale up, and engage in Tanzania. Now, before I go further, I want to tell you a story. This girl is called Saida. She's amazing. She's 19 years old. This is 2 years ago, so she should be 21 now. So when she joined our, the program that we did is called She Codes for Change, she was just finishing high school. Never heard of science and technology thing, and she had no interest. She was taking arts. And then when she joined, she went for a summer camp program. And then Saida, she was so inspired. She went back to school to bring more girls for a program. She asked her teacher to write a proposal for partnership with the government and us so we can do more program. And then after school, they had a 1-year gap. She asked to intern for one of our partners, and right now she's in college. Doing what? ICT. This is just one of the many cases that She Codes for Change does. She Code for Change as a program, it's looking to establish a tech female agency in the country, in Tanzania, the first one actually, because the STEM space in the country is very limited. And what we do, we sustain, we spark the interest of girls in STEM, we sustain it during the college, and then we inspire young women toward innovation. We support female, and we also influence policies. Why am I telling you about She Code for Change? Because we think such models and more can be implemented in the country, is we want to do a study to see how further we can implement, and this is our solution. We're looking to do a study, but we're looking to do a study in a very innovative and engaging way. It's called the Youth Participatory Action Research Method, and Haruna will explain more what this is.
There is a new concept in development which says the first step in engaging with the system is to listen to the system. So we decided that before we can look for any solution for this, we have to listen to the system. And the PAR is our way of listening to the system, and which means participatory action research actually means it's a new kind of research method or model which actually uses the participants as full co-collaborators, co-researchers rather than objects of the research. And they are involved in the research from the beginning to the end. And it's a process of data collection, reflection, and action. And it's an iterative process so that you can test the model, you can repeat it, and then you can take action. So that's what it actually means.
The whole idea is to engage girls, not just do research for them, but make girls as researchers, but also we want them to be the leaders who are learning their own problem and becoming the ambassador of STEM. But at the same time, we want to create a community of continuous learning among girls. Now, this is our sample. This is our representative sample. We want to involve, Tanzania is divided in 30 regions, and within 30 regions is divided in 6 zones. And so we want to do a national-wide sample, though our pilot will start from one zone. This is a coastal zone. But we're going to do a both balance of urban and rural. We are going to work with the government agencies, the National Bureau of Statistics, Ministry of Education, political leader, public schools, teachers, parents, local leaders, CSO, NGO, private sector, donor, and media. And this number came out of the pilot that we've already tested. And though this is the people that we've already worked with, and we know we can start with the network we already have to move forward. So our call for action is simple. We are doing all this study asking to develop a national policy and strategy on STEM education in Tanzania. We want STEM career to be adopted, STEM curriculum to be adopted in Tanzania public school, high schools, but also we want to call for more donors and investors to invest more on girls' STEM studies, and when they come to college and out of college, for young women in STEM careers. Thank you.
So when you are defining STEM, I mean, so the A part would be the arts. Is that correct? Okay. I would love to see you talking to a gentleman in the United States named Pharrell Williams. He did the Happy Song. He has a school that teaches STEAM in Virginia Beach, and they might be an interesting one to partner with.
Do you have connection?
Yes, and his mother is a teacher.
Thank you. I'll
Sure.
talk to you
So
after.
I think,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. That's a good one. Wow, that's exciting. Thank you.
I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the costs that you anticipate being involved with this, and how you expect the rollout to proceed in terms of what might be earlier stage costs, later stage costs, and how you would think about financing those so as the concept moves forward.
So I'll start, and then any of my peers would add. So taking it back. Sorry, 1 minute. So we've already engaged girls. This is the second year now Chico is doing this. And so we already have an ongoing program. And the beautiful thing about this study is not a separate activity from the ongoing program. So the same girls that we are training are the same girls we actually want to involve. So it's more than just giving them coding skills, but now we're actually giving them research and leadership skills, but also wanting them to look for data to identify the issue in the country and making them ambassadors. So we already have funding to run the program. We're just adding the research angle in it. However, I think the more cost that is going to be added is when it comes to sharing the report, but also printing the report, and also disseminating the report. So this is something that we actually need to find out more and actually add on it.
Yes, and what I would like to add, that's why we would like to begin our project only in one zone, to see how it will work there, and if we need some adjustments to make it not, and that's why, and also what was the idea? Yeah, and we'll see how much it will cost us. And then we will implement it to the other 5 zones. And meanwhile finding fundings, but also we will relate to the government if they could support us, because this research is not going to be important only for us. It will be important to the entire state, because it turned out that the state doesn't have this data. And instead to implement projects that, and without knowing how many people and girls will be interested, we will begin from the very beginning. We'll find how many girls will be interested, and then we will invest. So it will be, yeah.
To quickly add to that, we also thought that it would be a little bit presumptive to start to calculate costs, because like she said, there's very limited data on this. So we wanted to do, before we start, we could do a baseline survey, and perhaps that would be a principal focus of our baseline survey, to actually ascertain what sort of costs will be involved in this.
So the baseline survey is through the ongoing activities.
Very well developed plan. I just want to know, how is it unique in its application in Tanzania?
So the unique fact is that there's no data. So when people want to invest, when we want to scale, when we want to inform, when we want to state a case, there is no data for this. And it's not that something, so the government is looking for STEM data, the NGOs are looking for it, the CSOs are looking for it, media is looking to report for it. Parents want to be informed with it, students want to make decision in it. You know, so I think it's a very important data to inform of the already ongoing innovation initiative, but also already ongoing girls' engagement to aspire for both STEM careers and STEM studies.
The idea of this project is that, technology is coming to Africa. The technology is all the time upgrading one year by 1 year. That in that case, Tanzania also should be in the same flow with the technology advancement. So if you look at the curriculum and if you look at the career, you might see that in the tech industry or in the STEM career, majority are men. So there is less space for the women. At the same time, the government is going for the e-governance system. So in that case, there is the need for the STEM for sure. So that's our background idea about the project.
Yes, so I also, maybe this gives the opportunity again to quickly go over this model which we decided to use. I think this is what part of what makes our solution unique.
While our judges are taking some notes, could group 3 get organized and get ready to take the stage?
My name is Haley, and I'm a second year at UVA, most likely studying in political science.
Hello, my name is Upaz. I'm from Nepal, and I'm the Community Solution Program Fellow.
Hi, my name is Amani. I'm from Sudan, and I'm an Atlas School Fellow.
Hello, everyone. My name is Abinet Tasso. I'm from Ethiopia. I am a 2017 Mandela Washington Fellow, and I work for CARE Ethiopia.
Hi, my name is Ross. I'm from Uzbekistan, and today we're going to talk about modern social service advocacy to tackle modern cultural barriers for girls' access to higher education in Uzbekistan. So I was born and raised in a rural area in Uzbekistan, and in my school we were 25 students, and out of that 25, only 13 of them were girls. But when I went to high school, the higher education to university, only 3 of us went there, and all of us were boys. There were many smart girls in our class, but no one went to higher education. So when I went to university, I saw this picture. This is the recent graduation class from Tashkent Financial Institute, and you can see how many girls are in the class. Majority are the boys, and female students are heavily underrepresented. And from here, you can see how the imbalance between female and male students, especially in the higher education, 38% are female students, and more than 61% are male students. And why this is happening, why this is the problem? Because there are like many factors, such as cultural, economical, but we're going to talk about cultural ones. In the families, parents, they prefer paying the tuition of sons. For the girls, after the school, after primary school, they say, okay, you can apply once, and if you get scholarship, you can study. If you don't get scholarship, no. We better pay for your brother, because that investment is a good one, because it comes back to us. Another problem is after the school, after primary education, girls get married, and they will be only wives. They don't have an education. They cannot contribute to the country's economy. Another problem is unwillingness of parents to send their daughters to far away to another cities to pursue their education. And as a group, as a team, we came up with these solutions.
Not sure if I was going to get that clicker right. So we wanted to home in on one of the main problems. So as we know, culturally, women are at a disadvantage in terms of reaching tertiary education level. But one of our biggest problems when we were sitting down researching is the military scholar benefits that males get. So in Uzbekistan, as a male, depending on your applications, if you go into military service, you gain 113.4 points towards sort of your acceptance towards scholarships. Now, both basing on the fact that if girls and boys gain the same levels, 100 points each, 100 points each from examination, it would mean that males have a 113-point advantage on every female that applies for a scholarship program in Uzbekistan. So this is one of the problems that we wanted to tackle. So what we came up with is a social services program. So it's an advocacy program towards the government to give options for females, because women are not allowed in the military in Uzbekistan. So what we want to do is, at the same time, encourage and advocate for women inclusion within the military, if that's where they want to gain these points from, but also give other sectors where women can make up these points and have a competitive advantage with their male counterparts and not be left behind by 113 points. It's ridiculous. So we would have options, and it would be all over the service sector. You'd be able to perform this social service wherever, but examples would be schools, whether you did training at a company, whether you worked in a health institution, whether you did engineering training. And so, the resulting or the solution that we think we're filling, if you increase, oh wait, hold on, my turn. If you increase access to scholarships for women through this social service sector, so if they get the points that give them that competitive advantage to apply, it means you'll get more women in education. If you get more women in education, you get more women in the workforce generating income. Then you get more women contributing to household incomes. Thereby the value of women culturally and traditionally for men increases. You have more women thought of as an actual investment, and thereby you have more women encouraged to pursue higher education. And so the cycle would repeat. They would then encourage the next generation of females to continue on going. And so for this is important because we want to fulfill the SDG goal, which is, I'll be specific, SDG 4.3, which is by 2030, we want to ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality education, and this does it.
This might be a wild question. Are there any women in the Uzbekistan military?
No, they're not allowed in the military. No.
Actually, there are like three main criteria to get to the military. First, you have to be at the age of, between the age range of 18 to 27. Second, you should be healthy. Third, you should be male. This is the criteria when there is peace in the country. Okay. There can be female military service personnel only in case of emergency. But in peace, that's the criteria. Only male can serve.
Okay. I would just think that that's another path to look at. How do you, are there ways to get more women in the military? Because that would provide other parts of the group. Yeah. Okay.
So, what would be the process or the strategies that you might pursue to launch this thing and get it in motion, I guess? Because I see this, this impact cycle appear, makes good sense and is very compelling. And so the concept that you propose, this idea of the social services program that has this second pathway basically for women, so there's going to be, I can imagine, a pretty complex set of processes and investment building and dialogues, et cetera, that you would need to go through to get a program like that off the ground. So how would you think about, like, who are the key stakeholders? What might be the key pathways? Who would you need to get bought into this concept?
So our strategy will be twofold. The first one is we're going to engage from bottom up and also from top to bottom. So since it's advocacy, we're going to engage with government officials. We get a seat at the table so that we talk about it. We promote gender norm transformation. And also we make sure that the society themselves will advocate for inclusion of girls into social services, including the military. So that is like, we have different, like currently the technology is high. We can use the social media so that we engage our communities so that they voice what they need. They can campaign for it with us. So this is like a bottom-up and top-down approach.
Yes, I want to add some on that. Besides that, we'll be focusing on to the policymakers, the companies. Will provide the girls to the certain points. So we'll be also advocating, lobbying with them that so that they can get the points, serving in the school, serving in the on the world, whatever job they do, they still get the points. That means the girls will be in the schools. They will be because it's a problem in their tertiary education. So if they keep on, the main motto is to keep them in the schools, education for all. So we will be advocating to the policymakers, government stakeholders, and the all other relevant agencies that connect with this issue.
And I would like to add something. This inequality is a government's idea to recruit more military servicemen. They put this scholarship program. It was when it was first implemented back in 2009. It was only 25% of the highest score one can get from the entrance exam. This year it gets 50%. Why? Government is doing this. By doing this, they are not empowering women. So they're basically giving more chance for male applicants to be successful, to get there. And when I said families, they say, okay, you can apply. If you get scholarship, then you can study. But girls are applying, they cannot get scholarship because some other guy who served in the military, he gets this 113 points. That's too much to catch up. That's why we believe that the government is the main player here. They can change.
Can you go back to one slide before, please, where you have the, yes. Social programs, inclusion in military and service. You are not thinking of advocating that women could also be included in manufacturing?
No, so when we said the service sector, these are just examples, but we
No,
mean...
manufacturing is a different sector altogether, or is it that industrially Uzbekistan is not so developed, there is no manufacturing?
No, we...
Oh, that is what, like, I don't mean that... all aspects. Otherwise, it's the women are prototyped more into the service sector and they're excluded from the manufacturing sector. That is the scenario currently. The service and it's all right, we understand. And another more fundamental question, so advocacy is a function and your delivery is an organization that you want to form? Do you want to form an organization which wants to take up advocacy?
Yes.
All right, so that is your product that you are delivering?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Group 4 could mobilize and get ready to take the stage. That'd be great. Good. We'll look forward to hearing from you.
Hello, I'm Joseph Achena, and I'm from Ghana. I'm a Community Solutions Program Fellow, 2017.
Hello everyone, I'm Sheila Senfuma. I'm an Atlas Core Fellow from Uganda and I'm based in DC.
Hello everyone, my name is Precious Chinanga. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm a Community Solutions Program Fellow, 2017.
Hi, I'm Hennessy Luigi, and I'm an Atlas Core Fellow serving in New York.
Hi everyone, I'm Sara Tariq and I'm an Atlas Core Fellow from Pakistan serving at Atlas Core as their training manager. I'm going to be the only one presenting and I'm very loud in general, so if you don't mind, I will be using a mic. Is that okay? Oh, okay. Hi everyone, we are Podemos and what that means is we can. Today I'm going to start off my presentation by telling you a story about a girl named Maria from Venezuela. Maria is a 17-year-old girl who's just gotten done with her high school and is deciding whether she wants to pursue what she's passionate about, which is engineering, or whether she wants to pursue what everyone else is telling her to do, which is nursing. Now this is the year 2017, and yet Maria is being forced to think about whether there are alternative choices which she does not want to. Which brought us to the question as to why does this gender bias exist in the first place? Where did this come from? How can we remove gender bias in teaching practices in public primary schools in Caracas and promote gender sensitivity instruction? This was the problem that we as an organization came down to. What evidence brought us here? Every 4 minutes, a woman under 21 years gives birth in Venezuela. 43% of these pregnancies are desired for these young girls. Maternity is highly appreciated as the determinant of being a complete woman. This is the reason why she wants to pursue a career in nursing, because that was the right choice to take for her. But why was that the right choice for her to take? Where did it all start from? It all started from her classroom, where she went to primary school to. Las Acacias is a public primary school which has 360 students, has 12 classrooms with 30 students in each classroom and 12 teachers, a teacher for each classroom teaching her. But what were they teaching her? This is what they were teaching her. So at 7 a.m. when she started going to the assembly line, before her assembly line, her teacher told her and all the other girls in her classroom, girls first. Why girls first? Because the boys are at the back of her protecting all the girls. This is where we start from. This is literally from where it all starts from the beginning of her, a 3-4-year-old girl being told that you need to be protected by boys behind you. The classroom starts, her teacher starts teaching her in ABC. The D is referred to adults, which are played by girls. B is referred to ball and bat, which are played by boys, because obviously girls can never play cricket, they can never play with a ball or bat. They don't have that ability in them. We have the recess sessions where where the classroom is divided into 2 different corners. Boys go play with the cars, girls go play with tea sets, because that's what we love to do. That's what our only job in life. We want to pour tea for men to make sure that we make food for them. Why? Because we are obviously not capable of doing anything else. Comes to the playground, obviously we as girls only want to gossip, whereas guys go play football on the playground because they're much better than girls being in the football. I don't know where women athletes came from, how they're winning Olympic medals, but that's what's happening. Who are these people who are responsible? These are people who are responsibly taking care of primary schools, and this is where that's why we needed to reach to them. These are simply 5 people. The school board, principal, the admin of that school or institution, the male and female teachers, all the other students who complement and facilitate this idea, and the district municipality on education. What was our solution to this? All we wanted to do, we didn't want to have big issues, or deal with bigger things that we did not have the capacity to build in because of our funding. We wanted to start a dialogue with these 5 major stakeholders. How did we want to do that? We wanted to start off trainings. Set up training programs for teachers and administrators for one school year. Starting the school year starts in September, we start our trainings in August. What do? We have conversations with them. And by telling them that all they need to do is change the role of how they deliver information. Why is the principal telling the girls to be up front and why not at the back? In general, why can't the boys be in front? Why is it that they're telling them to be divided in playgrounds? Why can't girls be the ones being playing in the football fields? So amending visual aids, why is that the posters in classrooms are suggesting and complementing this idea? We mixed recess activities by encouraging both genders to take part in all activities and have male and female mentors to talk to the teachers to emphasize how things have changed. What's the feasibility program? It's not expensive to have a conversation to change a mindset. We do not need $100 million to change that concept. What we need to have is get the right stakeholders in a room and have a conversation with them. Training program in one school which will be tested with another school where this program is not being run. We shall be using school resources for the training. The mentors and role models will do this on pro bono basis because that's what we're passionate about. Visual aids will be drawn by the teachers and volunteers to reduce printing and graphic costs. So all things that are already done in schools, all that needs to be done is used differently.
Thank you very much. One question on your stakeholders. I did not see parents. I'm curious to know if you think that families will have opinions about this, and if so, how you get them bought in.
We talked about school board, and school board incorporate parents, teachers, and everyone. So parents are actually part of the program.
And also, because most, like you said, the boards have PTA members who go back and spread the message. And also we wanted to narrow it down. Otherwise, if we are to go into parents, we shall go into cultural and social settings, we shall incur more costs to go to parent by parent, or it will become more expensive. But we believe at least this is where it starts. And with the board, most of our parents are part of the PTA, it still gets to be spread all the way through.
And we do absolutely acknowledge that parents are one of the most important stakeholders in this also. But in the primary school years, if you notice, the child looks up to his teacher to whatever the teacher tells them, that's what they feel is standard or is a fact for them. So that's why we wanted to make sure that we emphasize on making teachers' role so influential in the right way it should be, that they're the ones who are facilitating the idea of reducing gender biasness in the first place.
You're suggesting a conversation. How do you think strategically you will plan on ensuring everybody comes to the table? Because policymakers, teachers, and your other stakeholders in developing countries, it's not easy to bring all of them to the table, and you are an organization. What is your strategy to bring all of them to the table?
So basically, we had a conversation taking this issue with the municipal authority and the government. And what in Venezuela, they give you 8 hours of training in a year to bring about changes or to do additional trainings within school systems. So we wanted to make sure that they actually gave us the authority of taking this as a test pilot study, allowing us to be part of this public school, which we mentioned, to be able to test our strategy and see whether it's going to have any effect. And if you notice in the measurability that we did later, we're going to do a comparative study. That's part of the process, that we're going to do a comparative study of the school, the pilot school that we've had this, we've ran the study in comparison to a public school where this is not being done, to see the comparative analysis.
I want to add something to what she just said. We also try to, in order to bring other people on board, or the administrators on board, what we try to do is to be able to show them other organizations or other schools that have actually used the same approach and it has worked for them, to be able to know that it is actually a good thing and how that impacts the education for Venezuela in general.
We also try to sell out the idea that it takes a community to raise a child. So it's their responsibility, all the stakeholders, that they should take part in that, because it takes a community. It's not about the parents or the teachers or the children. It's about everyone. So that's how we sell the idea and ensure that we have sustained dialogue with the various stakeholders.
Are there some female athletes that compete maybe in global competitions or local competitions that you could partner up with that you could bring into the schools?
Actually, yes. And it's really interesting that the player that won Best Female Player of Soccer just recently, 2 weeks ago, is a Venezuelan girl. And the national teams and national delegations, they have the responsibility, the social responsibility initiatives, and these have been done before. In the Venezuelan setting, when you have a social responsibility initiative, if you're a team, your players are like, they have to comply like social service hours, and they have to go to schools and things like that.
We have time for one last question? Okay. So you mentioned comparing, doing the intervention at one school and comparing it with another. So what indicators would you look for? How would you know if it's working as you evaluate the success of it?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Group 4. And Group 5, we look forward to hearing from you next.
I'm Mirabelle Ngong. I'm from Cameroon. I'm a Mandela Washington Fellow.
Hi everyone, I'm Mohsin. I'm an Atlas Score Fellow. I'm based in Philadelphia.
Hi, I'm Rachel, an Atlas Score Fellow from Uganda.
Hi, I'm Angela. I'm from Costa Rica and a CSP Fellow based in New York.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tisha. I'm an Atlas Score Fellow from India, and currently I'm serving in DC. Today, our group is attempting to overcome the barrier to girls' education posed by widespread sexual violence in a northern state in India called Haryana. The picture isn't quite visible. I hope it's visible there. Yeah. So this is Komal. She's a regular 15-year-old Indian girl. She looks happy in this picture, but this is her protesting for 11 days along with 200 girls from her school. What are they protesting for? They are protesting to get high school classes added to their local school in their neighborhood because they don't want to travel far away to reach to the higher secondary school. Why don't they want to do that? Because of the threat of fear of violence. These protests started in May last year after a teenager from their nearby school was abducted and raped. This is a situation in Haryana. Haryana is a state adjacent to New Delhi, our national capital, which fares extremely worse in terms of gender violence. In terms of female literacy rate, just more than 50% of the female population is literate, and almost 65% of the girls face violence while commuting for schools. Now, we have the infrastructure in place. We have the schools there. We have the teachers coming to the school. We have the midday meal schemes running in those classes, in those schools. majority of parents are willing to send their children to school, but they're worried about the safety of their girls. There is a lot of pressure on the state government from the media and opposition because of this continuous threat which is widening. So, what is the answer? I request Mirabel.
So we present to you So we are going to present to you what we call CT. CT is a mobile safety device, and as we can see, we have tested other devices and we have come up with a device that is more powered. How different is our device? This CT, which means whistle in Hindi, is really tiny in size, and every time you press or you push to it, it breaks. It is also having a GPS, such that if a girl is in a situation where she is not safe, the police can indicate or see where she is, as well as she has help as fast as possible. Also, it's cheaper, such that you don't have to charge it on electricity. You have to rather use power, like in the solar system. And also, it's adaptable and affordable. Every child in India or elsewhere can afford the CT, such that how affordable or adaptable is CT? I could pin it on my dress, I could put it on my bracelet, I could put it on my necklace. And also, it comes in different colors, so that it's not gonna be obvious. I could go to a shop and pick CT in every color, and people will not necessarily want to know that this is a safety device. For instance, take this, I'm in the street. So this is like some of the equipment that CT could be adaptable to. So I could be in the streets and I'm moving out from school. I get here and maybe a man attacks from here. Or I see somebody coming from behind me and I feel like, all right, fine, I'm not safe. What do? I look around. I could have it here. I could pin it, or I could look around here and I hit it. All right, so when my alarm comes on, the neighbors or the people around know that I'm in trouble. People are looking around because everybody knows this device, and the police knows that there is somebody somewhere in trouble. So when my alarm comes on, who is coming to my rescue? Okay.
So you will be asking who is going to listen for this song, and actually 105,000 people in India are willing to listen for this song through the Safe India initiative, which is an initiative who is already in India with this amount of people, who is working with the police governments through a strategy for the create local citizen police groups. They are working through WhatsApp groups. They are working with parents, with the community, with the local police and schools to prevent violence, and to, when you see something, say something and call to the police, and the police is going to respond through the citizen police. So we are working with, through trainings to the parents, to the community.
I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your next steps, about how you bring this idea to fruition.
So city is sustainable. It can be used by Kumal in India, it can be used by Uche in Nigeria, or any girl anywhere in the world. We're going to partner with tech companies. Microsoft is big in India. We are lucky that Microsoft CEO is an Indian. So he's going to work with engineering students to make a product for girls made by girls. We'll work with the local government to train the girls and the community members how to use it, and also to be vigilant to look out. If you hear the sound, do something about it. We partner with a larger community, and everybody, I mean, it could be your sister, your friend, your mother. So everybody is involved.
Speaking about this positive, like right now in the world, we can just find smartphones for $20. So it's really cheap for us to implement this program, because we need like GPS technology, and it's cheap and it's affordable for people.
what is your manufacturing selling plan? You said Google will, Google CEO use
Microsoft. Actually, currently Microsoft runs a national tech competitions across India. It's called Tech Sparks, where all the engineering students, technology students come together to innovate new products. So our aim would be to partner with Microsoft, and they have a huge investment in terms of gender equality as well. And in India, we have, in 2014, we got a law passed, the CSR law, where companies which have profit more than 10 million rupees have to contribute at least 2% of their CSR money, profit money to a social cause. So there is a very, currently the political environment in India is such that the corporate are willing to invest in social causes.
Could you see this as a nonprofit, and where you're doing more than just making this? Maybe you have some STEM, some various things going along with it. Maybe girls building it. I mean, you said made by girls. I mean, could you be actually training them? I mean, could there be much more that goes along with this?
Yes.
This is why the reason we are working with the Safe India initiative, because they already have a platform with training, with groups, with online data. So our goal is to bring this program to all the local communities.
And speaking to that, the girls engineering students, they're learning, but then they're also being empowered. And then this is a product that I can buy for my daughter. So it's something, if somebody can afford it, it's something that can be scaled up like a social enterprise. And then if, for people that cannot afford it, then they are subsidized.
Currently, the state government, Haryana government, is it's under the light. It's like there is so much pressure on them to do something to get more schools enrolled in the government schools, because we have a very good government school network. We spend billions of rupees in terms of getting midday meal schemes and infrastructure and those things in place. To get higher enrollment, there is a very high chance that state government would be willing to get an initiative like this to make sure that girls safely are able to access the school.
If you could tell us a little bit more about the technology involved and sort of the product creation aspect of this, and have you found any other examples of products that you think are good parallels to this, or where would you be starting from?
We found 3 projects that are based here in the United States that are like bracelets or dispensable that you can just put in your bag or something. So we can work with them, like the technology is already created.
They're on the higher cost level. They cost around $120, which according to the exchange rate would be really expensive for a villager in India.
And so for that, we are bringing our ours down so you could afford it for $50, maybe $30 by using it more like a whistle. So it's a little bit smaller, it's more adaptable and affordable, and also the fact that we are charging it on the sun makes it less affordable, more affordable.
Great, thank you so much, Group 5. Group 6, last but not least, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, hello, I'm Sridipta from India, and I'm a Global Links Changemaker.
Hello everybody, I'm Melvin Shati, a Community Solutions Fellow, and I'm from Sierra Leone.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I'm a CSP Fellow based in Portland. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Madara. I'm from Latvia, and I'm also a CSP Fellow. And we have heard 5 very strong stories, and here comes the 6th one from Latvia. Oh, we had one more participant who is like very busy now, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Wesley. I'm a student at UVA studying youth and social innovation.
Thank you. Yeah, so here comes the story from Latvia. when I met Anna, she was a 15-year-old. And although she was going to school, she was so-called in a risk group because she was living in rural area of Latvia, which was very high level of poverty, and her parents were alcoholic. When I met her after a few months, her life has been flipped over because she was pregnant. And due to stigmatization and stereotypes and existing attitudes and taboos of teen mothers in Latvia, and these all attitudes roots back to our history regarding Soviet times. Although these girls have access to education, they can still go to schools. The environment is not safe, and it's not supportive and not encouraging at all. So that means there is no opportunities, no resources, and no future. So when we asked for a need, so what could help is exactly the safe space and qualitative education, which could come through vocational training. And tomorrow, my country is turning 99 years old. So we come with the idea, what if we give a gift? This training center called Cradle. Cradle is known as a physically and emotionally safe space for a baby to be nurtured and to be grown. And this is how we see your training center, as a space for new opportunities and new futures.
So Cradle is a model for a vocational training center which would provide education to already teenage moms as well as the pregnant teenage girls who will become a mother in a few months. We will provide education which was paused because of their pregnancy. Also, we will provide them with vocational training in agriculture, nursing, cooking or finances, so that to make them job ready. Because now it's not that they have to fend for themselves, they also have to fend for their babies also. So after their vocational training, which will be of like 6 months, they can go out into the market and find jobs for themselves. And also we will provide daycare facilities in this Cradle because they have a responsibility of the child also, and so they can bring their baby to the Cradle and they can keep it in the daycare. But now we are in the 21st century and we cannot only say that the baby is the mother's responsibility only. So we want to include the fathers of the kids and provide them with mentoring so that they acknowledge their responsibility and take up the responsibility of the mother and the child.
And since our project is going to be something like a community-based project, and since, as we see the name Cradle, which is going to provide a center for teenage mothers to have services, we believe that our project cannot be possible without involving the stakeholders and the entire community. So what we're going to do, we're going to work with government to ensure that they provide us the space and the technical capacity to work and to implement our project. We'll be also working with key hospital and people that work in the hospital, like the nurses, to be ensured that they are present at the center to provide some technical services to victims to those little girls that have children at the center. We'll be also working with the community as a whole. In Latvia, they have what they call the community social workers. Community social workers are very instrumental in terms of working with the local community. So we believe as a group we cannot better achieve the goals of this project without involving the social workers who are in the community and who are working with the community people. So these are the key people we're going to work with. Last but not least, we'll be working with social media. We believe that we cannot better reach our audience without involving social media. So we'll be working with key social media houses within the Latvia community to ensure that the information, the services we provide, the people who are impacting, that other people get to be involved in our project. Thank you.
So the most special thing about this project is that we are going to make sure that it is sustainable. In which sense? We are going to make sure that the girls continue to pursue their dreams in terms of education and career paths. So in this case, we are providing a center where they get skills.
What is your financial planning?
So in terms of finance, one of the things that we are going to do in terms of raising funds, we are going to work on grant writing. We are going to do a lot of fundraising through promoting social events. And we are also going to work with volunteers because we understand that it's not easy for us to get funding. So if we can bring on board volunteers who can give us services such as teaching, health services, mentoring, and the like.
We would ask the government for the spaces so that we don't incur any cost for the spaces.
Question about the educational focus. So you mentioned vocational training as a core element. I noticed in terms of evaluation considerations here, you have like girls attending higher education, for example. Can you tell us a little bit more about the balance between vocational training and a more conventional pathway? I know it should also mention that, you know, after 6 months, I think you said, that perhaps the participants would be job ready. And so what is the intersection between vocational training, job readiness, preparing students for higher ed? How would you make those decisions? How would you, figure out the staffing you need to support those things?
Okay, so on this issue of curriculum, we are going to work with the government and the non-governmental organizations that are working on the education sector so that they can help us design a curriculum which incorporates the traditional education and the vocational component. So the vocational component is very essential because we understand that these girls, they are already mothers, they've got babies, they need to take care of these babies. So if we can equip them with life skills, they can start working on income generating and take care of their babies while they continue with their education. So the center is going to provide not only traditional education, but the vocational component of it.
Can you tell me a little bit about your social media? You've mentioned social media a couple times. Can you tell me something about your social media plans?
Okay, so the social media comes in as a component of advertising the event because we are still facing the challenge of stigma around our community. Why? Just because the girls who get pregnant at the age of 15 to 19, they face the stigma and sometimes they end up being discouraged of continuing with their education. So the social media platform is a place where we are going to share the stories of success about the girls who passed through this in order to inspire everybody else who might be interested in sending their children, who might be interested in sending their wives, or even participating themselves. So it's just a way of communicating our idea, not only to the community in Latvia, but around the world.
And the key social media instruments we'll be using are Facebook, we'll be using Twitter, and we'll be using the radio to reach out to more people. And in fact, we'll be having our website, and people can find more information on our website.
I wanted to add what has already been said regarding the idea, because this idea was actually, and how we can develop this idea across, basically in other places as well, not only Latvia, is actually this idea is coming from Sierra Leone. So we kind of adapted it and listened to the stories of Melvin, so it's already there.
So I think we need another collective round of applause for all of our 6 girls. But it's amazing what you were able to put together in a very short amount of time. Super impressive. We're going to take a brief break while our judges confer, and we will listen for the chime. We'll chime when it's time to reconvene. So enjoy the fresh air, and we'll return to this room in a little bit. Thanks.
I'm just here to for you guys need. Right, I'm sitting like lights up our ear. Like, it's a lot.
Yes, that's your part. Because the photos that I have of you were, well, no, they just weren't interested. So I wasn't necessarily trying to tie the quote to him. If I didn't say at the bottom there specifically. It's kind of up there. Oh, I will. I'll be happy. Yeah, it's not like
Yeah, no, let me know if you see anything else.
So you like just take my daughter. You gotta get this going live again? Oh, it is? Okay. I mean, it's broadcasting? Oh, okay. You know where she's going to be when she presents the awards? Oh, shoot. Okay. I'll get up there. Waiting for what, 11 days. So it's kind of like looking at the rust somewhere in there. Copy footage. Good show. We'll go see Saturday. Heavy metal, 10 minutes there, wakes out. Brain straight.
Charlene, are we still doing this today?
So what I had talked to Nancy about.
Do we have many of these here with us? Oh, that's it. So I was hoping to do is have each person spend something on paper next to well, if we don't have any friends, that was original because we were going to see what they You know, even if we just had a dozen, and you know what I mean? Though, like each person would have like this, well, like this, and then there's a photo, and then you have a rectangle out of the photos, and then that's like the thing. It's like because of this power, we're to make this. So when we send out a everyone all get paper close to that, or maybe just like a newsletter. That's hanging out on that and go on.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I think we're ready to reconvene. As I'm looking around, I think everybody's present and accounted for as I'm looking around the table. So, great. Well, thank you again for all the time and energy and thought and attention that you put into your fantastic presentations. And we now will announce the runner-up and the winner of our pitch session this afternoon. But before I do that, I would love to turn to our judges to see if they have any comments and feedback that they would like to offer the groups as a whole. Having heard all your 6 presentations, any thoughts you'd like to share?
One of the things that I've learned from speaking and pitch competitions, to me, is that if you've got 5 minutes, the most important part of those 5 minutes is the first minute. And maybe the most important part of that is the first 30 seconds. So I think as a judge, and this is what I want to do with judging competitions, I've already made up my decision in my mind within that first 30 seconds. And it's not just the words that you say, it's how your team works. Because I'm getting a gut feel, is your team going to be, I'm investing in your team more than I'm investing in your idea. Is your team going to work together? Do I trust you? Do I get that? So if you want to learn more about that, read Malcolm Gladwell's work, where he says he can even tell if someone's a good teacher before they open the mouth. Just as they're getting ready to start preparing some kind of feeling. So I would practice that first minute, that first 30 seconds, but I mean all of it actually. I constantly reverse that first 60 seconds.
Also, just to echo the kudos to all of you. It was really impressive just to sit here and watch and see all the ideas that had come to fruition. I know you hadn't had a whole lot of time to work on them, but you know the ideas and the representation of them, the way that you produced the slides, etc. So, in terms of general observations, the one I wanted to share is that a core challenge here, obviously, is that you all have developed a concept. You've discussed it, you've thought about it. You now have 5 minutes to transmit that concept from your collective brains to our brains. And so that's something that involves, multiple different facets, and a couple of them are, what are the key messages that you're communicating? Because if it's just kind of a string of information, then it doesn't have sort of focal points for us to be able to pause and retain, say, okay, this is something important, I can process this. And there's an interplay between what you're saying and then what you're putting up on the screen behind you too. And that also can be because what you put there helps to signal what's important to you and helps to signal what's important to us. And I thought, as a general matter, that it was really impressive, like I said, that all of the presentations I thought were strong. And the ones that probably ended up being most durable to me and most persuasive to me were the ones where there was the cleanest and clearest transmission of the concepts from your brains to our brains.
I should really thank you for giving me this opportunity to hear about your wonderful ideas. When you're doing the speech competition, everyone's ideas are really, each of them, so meaningful and impactful. But being a judge is hard, and one of the key things that we took into consideration, and you may also keep into mind later, is it doable? Is it very abstract, very far away? Is it like a fairy tale like we want to achieve? Or is it something we can do given a certain sum of money, given some support in the next 6 months? So let us look more down to earth, grassroots level, hands-on. Can we do it? Yes, we can ask the government. We all know how difficult it is to ask the government. So we definitely look for pitch ideas which are exactly something you can do in the next 6 months' time. You are young, so you can start tomorrow. Thank you.
And again, a big thank you to our judges for sharing your time with us and your talents and your ideas and feedback. Thanks, it means a lot. Okay, so without further ado, let's announce the results of the pitch competition. Our runner-up group is group number 1, bringing access to education to communities in Egypt through a mobile bus. Okay, and the winner of this afternoon's pitch session is group number 5, CT, the emergency whistle for girls in India. And you can ask them if you want to know what's in the bag, but you'll see a theme of power and empowerment in the bag, so